really? You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee, 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 coffee.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit. Me and Vincent would have been satisfied with some freeze-dried Taster's Choice, right? And he springs this serious gourmet shit on us.
Good morning, viewers. I am John, otherwise known as Das Wolfen, and welcome to my morning coffee with my non-coffee. Today's show, we're going to be discussing Ray Harryhausen, who was... Whoa, hang on, we got some news. Can we bring the panel out? Just go ahead and bring everybody out. I'll introduce everybody real quick. We've got Chris is here. And
good morning.
Martine.
Hello.
Apparently, AF Watcher just posted "Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy."
Yeah, let me confirm that while you.
Okay. Yeah, because that's like huge news. He's the voice of Batman. That's not good.
He is Batman.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to be discussing. We were going to, at some point, we're going to discuss Ray Harryhausen, and also, whatever news pops up, which apparently we had news pop up. But, yeah, because if that's true, that's not... That really sucks.
I'm not seeing anything about it.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Oh, thank you for the love in the chat, everybody. I see you. There's ladies in the chat. And this one's for Kevin Conroy, too, because I know he'd like it. So, what's up? I'm all ready to speak about Ray Harryhausen. I've been super busy lately and not able to dedicate too much time to live streams, and I probably won't be able to stick around the whole time, but you had me at Ray Harryhausen. That's how you get me to show up, is say Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, Ray Harryhausen is... as I was telling Martine, he's not the father of special effects or is the creator of stop motion animation, but he's the guy that inspired most special effect artists.
Mm-hmm. Not just stop motion special effects.
No, all special effect artists. Yeah, he has...
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. We got discovered, not that I trust them, he says he has passed away, and
we also got a $4 super sticker from Darius Munchausen.
There's not much information. They say this story is developing.
That's a shame. It really is.
Yeah, I'm starting to see things pop up as well. That is a shame because he's relatively young. So
in his 60s.
I mean,
66.
Hey, as someone who's nearing his 50s, 60s sounds young.
Well, I'm in my 50s. Yeah, 60 isn't that old. 66 isn't that old. That's only 14 years away from me. So, yeah, it's... But thank you very much, Darius Munchausen. We've got the bird throwing the coffee mug at us.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to play a video.
Oh, yes.
What do we have for Darius?
Let me see what can... Oh, this one.
I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
More cowbell. That's always a good choice.
In this case, it was just more cow, which, I'm a big beef eater, so
Yeah,
I'm always for more cow.
I always tell people I'm a vegetarian, but I let the cow process it first.
Beef is good. It's a superfood. Nice lean beef. Don't eat the fat. Get some good greens with it. You're then you turn that protein into muscle. Fish is good too.
Yeah, I'll be eating a high protein diet here in a few months. So
nice
after my surgery.
I highly recommend it if you want tips. I mean, I eat pretty plainly and a lot of the same foods over and over again, but they're good. You enjoy them. You feel good after you eat them. Give yourself a little time to digest them and then get some exercise so your cells start training to process that food rather than just store it. And by the way, I want to commend you, John, for making the effort to improve your health. You deserve it. I think everybody deserves it. You're going to feel a lot better. I kind of had the opposite problem. Hey, Anima and Penny.
I forgot to say hi to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, let's do the chat. I'm excited for your health advances. So I could go on forever about that, but I'm proud of you, man. Good on you.
We've got Colonizer Jeebus, who was here first this morning.
Then come again.
Anima Confusa, who called us all fellow nerds. Penny was here. Hello, Penny.
Now it's time for another Penny cartoon.
It's, let's start nice, Mom. My poor attempt at a Pee Wee Herman impersonation. We got our first dragon sighting this morning with Dragon Ruse. AF Watcher, who brought us the sad news about Kevin Conroy.
We thank you for that. Even though we don't like the news, we appreciate the news tip.
Yeah, we got D-Bub Martin in the house, as Chris said. And we've got Shinosky, who we need to keep an eye on, apparently.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Besides, I think I have a message from him from Gary.
Okay.
Let me see. Here it is.
Yeah. Very important message.
And as always, Shinatsky, you can jump in whenever you want.
Oh, Quantum Cat 76. Hello. I don't recognize the name, so welcome.
Quantum Cat is both here and not here.
Yep.
Until we observe them, and apparently we have.
Then they change. Yeah, now it's changed, so not quite so quantum anymore.
Your state of cattiness has been realized.
That all this is in case you have forgotten, dear public. This is a nerd channel.
Yeah.
I only made a movie called The Quantum Terror, so but people get that these days. So anyway, well, I am sad to hear about Kevin Conroy because again, this is comic book, so his voice isn't actually involved, but because of our last show talking about Superman, last Tuesday, I've been rereading World's Finest by Steve Rude and Dave Gibbons, written by Dave Gibbons, illustrated by Steve Rude. I have to say, again, I know this isn't really the subject of the show, but I am actually emotionally moved by that story. And I don't say that about movies or comic books or anything. Usually I'm just, these days I've just gotten used to, being somewhat entertained at best. Yeah. Going back to that story. Oh, hi, Stormy. Stormy just sneezed snot on my hand.
Lovely.
But I'll finish that thought. I was so moved by some of the moments. There are real moments of heroism in that are not just beating up bad guys, but actually doing noble and heroic things. You go, Stormy, until you get that out of your system. Pardon me a moment while I go wash
Yeah.
my hands.
Very well.
Be
Yeah.
right back.
So yeah, Kevin Conroy, he is Batman for a lot of us. As far as I'm concerned, he's the best Batman, period, hands down. I'm sure Martin agrees with me.
Yeah, 100%.
We were lucky to have him. Started with the obviously the Batman the Animated Series in the 90s, and he voiced Batman through most of the animated stuff and the games up until fairly recently, when they've had other people do it, which made me less interested in seeing it. But yeah, so that's a shame. And he got to play Batman, or at least Bruce Wayne, in live action once.
Yeah, and they
And
killed him.
May I point out that one of the big strengths of his performance. Thank you, Dragon Ruse. Let's get Stormy on camera while I say this. Yes, Stormy. There you go. There's my thumb. What's made his Batman performance so strong was that he was such a great Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
He brought humanity to Bruce Wayne in a way that he wasn't just, and this is my problem with a lot of Batman writing now. Batman is just an emotionless a-hole.
Yeah.
He who knows everything and just bypasses everyone and solves every problem, and he's not interested. I don't even like that they've hooked him up with Selena Kyle. I enjoyed Batman as when Vicky Vale was an actual character in the comics as well. Where he was trying to, his Bruce Wayne persona wasn't just a mask for Batman, but he was actually trying to kind of have a work-life balance. Is it Mexican Iron Man's birthday?
No, this was a while back. Loki, Stone Loki had paid Kevin Conroy on Cameo to wish Mexican Iron Man a happy birthday.
Oh, that's
really
a
nice gift.
It was awesome. It was cool.
Speaking of Mexican Iron Man, just as an aside, boy, is he pissed about the Black Panther movie. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen his reaction to it yet, and I've only seen about 15 or 20 minutes of the movie because I went yesterday, and apparently the projector was stuck in 3D mode. So they finally brought out 3D glasses because it was shimmering all over the place. And they brought out 3D glasses. It was still shimmering all over the place, so I had to leave. I couldn't,
The movie is so awful, even the projector.
Well, I'll be honest. What I saw wasn't that bad. So the first 20 minutes of it was okay, because the funeral, it's a little over the top, but I know that's how African funerals are.
Especially for a king.
This is a king's funeral, so
I would say, if I can mention a mild spoiler for this movie, I find it kind of weird that T'Challa died of a unknown virus of unspecified origin.
Yeah.
So that's
I didn't get to the point where they mentioned what he died from. They just said he was sick. Shuri was trying to
didn't the flower should have prevented that?
Well, Shuri is this. I'm going to spoil the heck out of this because
go ahead, because I'm not going to see it.
Oh no! Don't do it, please. No.
You might want to pop the spoiler sign up.
Let me go for it.
You're only spoiling the first 20 minutes, apparently, or unless you've got all the spoilers.
No, I'm only going to spoil the first little bit. at the very beginning, it starts out,
Genatsky.
Shuri is working on remaking the heart-shaped herb, and trying to save him. She finally gets one that's only like 30% possibly to work. And she's like, well, that's enough. He's dying. So she goes and rushes it. Well, he dies before she gets there.
Womp womp.
And then they have the funeral, and then she's called into that little UN meeting place, where they had where the council all meets, and to be called on the carpet because after it takes place 1 year after T'Challa dies, and they're wondering, well, why hasn't Wakanda held up its agreement in regards with vibranium? And monkeypox.
Well, Jameis's theory is that is how they will be rebooting the MCU, getting rid of all the males because T'Challa gives them monkeypox.
You know why T'Challa died? The real tragedy? He wasn't vaccinated.
Yeah. Which is ironic because Shuri is the actress who plays Shuri is the actual anti-vaxxer in the
she's
group.
not
I know. You think maybe they wrote that as a dig at her?
I can see it, but anyway, she's called on the carpet, and meanwhile it cuts to the Delora Milaje and with Okoye taking out a group of soldiers who attempted to go hit one of their centers to outreach centers to try and get vibranium, and it turns out it was France doing it. And she gets up, she chews them out, gets up and walks out, and that's as far as I've seen. That's all the spoilers spared. I have. Yeah, and then I was spared, but I'm gonna go. They gave me a pass to go see it because I'm gonna go see it because I'm like, I've seen every movie opening weekend, and if I sat through Eternals, I can sit through this.
Keep telling yourself that, Das Wolfen. Keep telling yourself that.
Hey, Real Way Nation's here. Welcome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like normal, we haven't actually got to the actual topic yet.
Ray Harryhausen. Yes, we're covering stuff that I will never see. I have Disney Plus, and I'm still refusing to watch the new Marvel stuff on there. I won't even say I'm refusing to watch. My apathy towards it is so great that it doesn't even occur to me. I'm like flipping through other stuff on Disney Plus to see if there's anything good, because Disney Plus has actually a lot of great shows on creating stuff. They have animation documentaries. They've got a great documentary on Industrial Light and Magic. They've got kind of their own versions of the movies that made us, which is, it's like the Disney edition. I think it's the same company that does them because they play out the same way. My friend Val Merrick got interviewed for an up-and-coming Marvel Before the Movies. I don't think that's actually the title. It's just what I'm calling it at the moment. That's going to come out. Like, that stuff's great. And I just skip right past all the new stuff. I like, whether it be the new Star Wars. I watched some of the Tales of the Jedi, which were fine, but they're not good enough to justify their existence.
I liked it.
They're not bad.
I mean, I liked it too, but it was kind of just like, I haven't watched all of them yet. They weren't even like full episodes. They just felt like moments. Here's what happened to Yardle.
Yeah, well, they're great. Take it in context that it's Disney Star Wars.
Yeah,
if you compare it to the level of stuff that they normally have done, Tales of the Jedi and Andor are really well done. Because I'm enjoying Andor. I thought this last episode was cool.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I have I'm starting to try and check out stuff again. This won't be of any interest to the channel, but the new season of The Crown just came out. So my wife and I caught the first episode. And then right after that, I checked out an episode of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which again was fine, but I definitely had my thoughts on it. And we're actually going to be discussing that on Tuesday. So
Okay. Why don't we save that for Tuesday?
Yeah. But I do want to talk about Ray Harryhausen because one of the reasons I can't stick around is there's a big storm on the way. And as soon as lightning starts striking, I have to unplug all my computers and make sure that my computer doesn't get fried by a power surge, because that does happen out here. Yeah, so Ray Harryhausen, do you want to kind of kick it off, John?
Ray Harryhausen was born June 29th, 1920. I happen to share a birthday with him, so I kind of feel another special affinity towards him.
That's a nice one, yeah.
Yeah, he would have been 100 in 2020, so I'm literally half his age.
Now he got his start with another famous stop motion animator, if I'm correct.
Yes, George Pal. He got started on the George Pal. That's where he really got his start. Was with the George Pal shorts.
He was doing dinosaur stuff, and then he also got to work for Willis O'Brien, if I'm not incorrect.
Yes, yeah. That was Mighty Joe Young.
That's it. Yes, because he didn't get to do Kong.
No, he was 13 when Kong came out. But he did the Mighty Joe Young. We're gonna go through all his movies. But that was his first. He was only working on that. He wasn't like the special effects lead or anything in it. But I mean, I've got some pictures of him with the actual Mighty Joe Young miniature. So, but So another interesting fact is he was his best friends were Ray Bradbury and Forrest J. Ackerman.
Yeah, good friends to have.
Yeah,
Ray Bradbury. I've got a long history with Ray Bradbury, so I definitely know that side of it. There's a great picture of Ray Harryhausen with Ray Bradbury and Fay Ray. So it's a photo called The Three Rays. And I actually named a science fiction character in a short film I did, Ray, a female character, actually. So when Star Wars, when a Ray character came out in Star Wars, I was pissed. I was like, I did that first. All in honor of the Rays. Yeah. So now he was also like one of the things that really, I don't know if you plan on touching on this, but was it the Rankin Bass holiday movies? They were, before those, Ray Harryhausen also did fairy tales, which are excellent. People they rarely get talked about or viewed, but they're incredible.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head is that Tulip one.
He did, the one that stands out for me is he did a Red Riding Hood, and I think he did a Hansel and Gretel as well.
Yeah,
they are surreal and they are dark.
And I think those are George Pal, aren't they?
No, Ray Harryhausen. I mean, maybe he did them under George Pal, but Ray Harryhausen did them. I think Ray Harryhausen was doing them on his own, though. I think they were efforts that his parents helped him with, actually, because his dad, when he was young, at least, machined a lot of the parts for the armature for him, and his mother would sew the costumes for his stop motion characters. So, but again, these are, I mean, everything. You'll notice too, like in Corpse Bride, the piano that they play is a Harryhausen piano. It says Harryhausen on it. And in Monsters, Inc., when Mike Wazowski's taking his girlfriend out to dinner, he's taking her to a restaurant called Harryhausen.
Yeah.
Because all these people love Ray Harryhausen. And it's and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I kind of have an inspirational speech in mind just based on what Harryhausen has accomplished and and why, even though a lot of people don't know it, we still feel his influence today.
We have Zach's in the house, so good morning, Zach's.
Zach's.
But George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, they all James Cameron. They all credit Ray Harryhausen as one of their major influencers.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
And of course, people like Phil Tippett, who, we gave us a lot of wonderful stop motion in terms of from Star Wars to RoboCop, and moved on, even in his, Phil Tippett embraced CGI animation, but then recently released his movie that's been decades in the making, literally him in his spare time, with some volunteers, a dark stop motion surrealist movie called Mad God.
Yep. I just haven't watched it yet.
Oh my God. If I had a copy of that, I would be all over it at the moment. I need to get a copy of it. Honestly, what are you doing sitting on that movie? Jeez.
I have a lot of movies I haven't watched yet that I need to watch. So.
That's true. I'll give you that. There's a stack of them, but
yeah,
as a stop motion fanatic,
and we won't even go into my book list. That's thousand plus books long of books that I've got that I want to read. I haven't gotten to yet. So, but because authors keep writing and I keep adding to it.
So what's where do we begin with Ray Harryhausen? Because this is kind of the obvious stuff that is, his early career working, getting to work on Mighty Joe Young, getting to work on, I think for me, he started to become truly interesting when he's in the 1950s, when he started to, do black and white, and they're still considered low budget movies, but he's animated everything. Like UFOs crashing into
and Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Yeah, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and the 20,000, the Beast from 20,000
20,000 Phantoms. Yep.
Yeah, Fathoms. Yeah,
that's his answer to Godzilla.
Yeah, and that was actually that predates Godzilla.
Did that predate Godzilla?
Yeah, it predates Godzilla. And it's based on, again, we mentioned Ray Bradbury before. It's based on Ray Bradbury's story, The Foghorn. And it's paid over.
Nope.
Well, it's not based on it. It has a moment that pays homage to it. But Bradbury was involved. But The Foghorn is a story about a lighthouse keeper who has a new lighthouse keeper sitting up there with him. And he essentially says, "Hey, you're going to see something tonight. You're not going to believe it." And he's like, "What?" It's the last dinosaur. It's a plesiosaurus.
Yeah.
That keeps swimming up to the foghorn on certain nights because its call, the foghorn, sounds like the creature's call, and the creature's lonely. And in the story, the guy goes, "I wonder what's happened if we stopped the horn and turned out the light." And they do, and the creature flips out and destroys the lighthouse, and they barely escape with their lives. So in that movie, when you see the beast rise out of the ocean and attack the lighthouse, that's essentially acknowledging that story. It's a beautiful, sad story too. The movie itself isn't that great, but it's just so, it's really not Bradbury, Harryhausen coming into his own in terms of figuring out solving certain problems. Because before with stop motion, a lot of times, and this doesn't count for the big budget movies, but like not Godzilla, King Kong and that sort of thing, they would find ways to composite the characters together. Talking to Ray Bradbury at Disneyland is probably that's a beautiful thing, because Bradbury loved Disneyland. And he's got great Disneyland stories too. But a lot of the low budget stop motion would essentially be shot reverse shot. Now, in things like King Kong, yes, they found tricks for compositing, different plates. But this is when Ray Harryhausen really started to play around with those techniques, where he would essentially have a back plate, which was a frame by frame projection, his armature in front of it, but then he would block off certain parts with another glass plate with a black frame. This is how you did compositing back there.
Yeah.
So the exposure wouldn't read that black, and then he could go and do a reverse black frame after he'd done it, wind the film back and do a re-exposure so he could have background, foreground, and middle ground all appearing to interact.
Yep.
And now it wasn't a new thing, but once he started the journey, this is what kind of further, as he experimented with it more, he started to get more bold, where he was then coming up with ways to, do things like have the characters directly interact with, especially when it comes to his, Sinbad movies and Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts. He started to do some amazing things where skeletons were like crossing in front of characters and then behind, and they were clashing swords. So the real firm interactions. And it was his boldness to experiment with that really kind of, continued to wow people.
All before CGI.
And it's funny. There's a great, by the way, I'm sure you're aware of this. And for the audience, I recommend this. And I do believe it's on Tubi. There is a Ray Harryhausen documentary that has a lot of this stuff in it. There's this really fun moment. It's kind of gratifying to me. It's James Cameron talking about Ray Harryhausen. He's going, he just wanted to tell his story. And I'm sure if Ray Harryhausen had access to the CGI tools that I have, he would be using those now. And then it cuts to an interview with Ray Harryhausen going, I don't think I'd be using CGI. I think really stop motion is where I want to do these things. He loved that craft. And this again goes back to my, I sound like a broken record, but the best art is created by people who love the medium that they're working in.
Exactly.
So anyway, I'm getting ahead of things.
That's fine. Quantum Cat pointed out that the Moria troll scene in Lord of the Rings was inspired by Harryhausen's work.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe let's talk about, when did you first get introduced to Harryhausen? If you
1977.
You knew the exact date and time.
Yeah, because I went and saw Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
That was my first movie of him too, but I highly doubt it was in the 77. Was in cinemas though.
Yeah, because it's just because I was always into science fiction fantasy as a kid, so obviously that was a choice. It's like we got monsters. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
For me, it was when I was a very little kid, maybe about 4 years old, living in England. I remember it was right before we moved, because I remember there being, things getting packed up. The BBC was playing one of the Sinbad movies, and I forget which one, but it was one where they were in the snow and they got attacked by a walrus creature. And I just remember, I don't know, I was doing something. It was on TV, and I was going to ask my mom something, and that walrus creature came out, and I just went, whoop. And I would...
Was that Golden Voyage of Sinbad?
Probably. I get them all mixed up in my head, because my experience with them is just, coming across them on TV a lot, and and just stopping and watching them, and being essentially just waiting for the next moment that a stop motion creature would come out. I was so just mesmerized by what I was seeing, whether it be the 6-armed collie statue or that sort of thing. I think the first time I really started to actually pay attention to the story was Clash of the Titans, which is a very interesting movie. Some people, I've heard people go like, oh, it's not that good a movie. I think it's excellent.
Yes.
And I showed it to my daughter when she was young, and she was really into dinosaurs. And I thought, well, she'll probably like this, as giant scorpions and, the Kraken and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
She loved it. And then the remake came out, and it was on TV. And she saw it, like she saw the title Clash of the Titans, and she's like, I want to watch that. I was like, this is a different one. She's like, it is? I was like, yeah, it's a remake. And she watched it, and I was like, okay, which one did you like better? She's like, the other one. Because the CGI is, in a way, they try and make the CGI out like this is better now. But the whole reason we watched Harryhausen movies is, like I said, as a little kid, we were waiting for the next stop motion creature to come out. The CGI it's in everything, so it's not memorable. Harryhausen to this day still remains memorable.
CGI may actually look better, but Ray Harryhausen and the other stop motion artists have a way of making stop motion look more alive than CGI does.
Well, it's more actually real than real, as they like to say. Because not to go on too much of an art tangent with it, but the Romans spent untold lengths of time figuring out how to make exactly human-like statues. And as soon as they did, they stopped. Because they realized at that point, it's like, yeah, we can perfectly replicate a person, but we can make things that aren't people. We can make, the idealized form into a reality.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake, I think. Not all CGI people, of course, because there's a shit ton of people in the industry, but this idea of we're going to perfectly replicate things. We're going to perfectly replicate like Luke Skywalker or whatever. It's going to be believably Luke Skywalker. It's a fool's errand in the end, because it's just like, as soon as they do that, we're just going to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. You notice this happens too with things, like deep fake and, Mid-Journey, or before Mid-Journey was Deep Dream. It's like it became accessible to everybody, and everyone went, ooh, this is really cool. And they play with it, and it becomes like the thing everyone's talking about for a month, and then everybody moves on. I've already seen people with Mid-Journey going like, I'm going to use this to make my movie poster. I'm going to use this to make my comic book. I'm going to use this to make my production art. But they don't see it as a tool that they can use and then advance. They just stop right there. So now you get like people go here's my art for my movie, and it's a Mid-Journey thing, and you're like, okay, you did that on Mid-Journey. It's not exciting. We've all seen Mid-Journey. Show us what you as an artist have to offer, because art ultimately is a connection from one individual who's the artist to the audience. Yes. And if you are going to start relying on computers to do that for you, you're removing the core element of why people want to engage in art. And I'm not saying that CGI can't do that. It absolutely can. But for the most part, doesn't have a very good track record. And again, I can look at like CGI from... and I was watching scenes from The Frighteners not too long ago, Peter Jackson's movie that kind of helped put him on the map enough to do Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings, man, I watch that movie once a year, or those movies once a year in their extended versions. It's like a tradition. But you look at the CGI
18-hour tradition, better tradition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to count this. You got to watch all the special features too. Looking at The Frighteners, the CGI in that, where before everyone was blown away, you're looking at it now going, yeah, it looks of its time. And you may say that stop motion looks of its time, but stop motion is still, it's sculpted, it's real, it's actually there in the camera frame.
It's tangible.
Well,
yeah.
That's what it's got that CGI doesn't. It's tangible.
Yeah.
That expression is of its time. Man, Jurassic Park had stop motion. Not everybody knows that.
Well, it was going to have stop motion, but
no, it had. It has.
Where's the stop motion shot in there?
Is stop motion combined with computer? So computer makes interpolation of the frames.
No, that's not what happened. They were going to do that, but then the CGI took over. That was what Phil Tippett was working on right before they replaced the CGI.
And the reverse kinematic is made with a puppet. the puppet registers the position of the skeleton.
Yes,
In the-
that they
and
did. Yes.
So that's stop motion.
Yeah. I guess you could say they used it as a way of controlling the CGI, but it wasn't stop motion shot. It was just they were using the stop motion techniques. I think we got some new people in the chat.
Yeah, I want to say hi. Yeah, I'll say hi to Scribe Light. Yes, we heard about Kevin Conroy. That's devastating.
Yeah, we were talking about that before. I'm very sad about that.
And hello, Mags.
Mags is pretty, by the way. She posted a
Yes,
picture of
she
herself
is.
on
She
Twitter.
is.
I was like, oh, Mags, good looking.
Mags is gorgeous.
Yeah. Real quick, my introduction to Harryhausen was the Jason the Argonauts movie on TV. I forget exactly what year, but I think it was like 92, 93. Just like on the Sci-Fi Channel, because they'd occasionally play the old, classic movies, and it's like, oh, Jason the Argonauts. I like that story. This is awesome.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. Of course, the skeleton battle scene. One thing that's underappreciated in that movie is, proving that men can look good in mini skirts in action movies.
Well, Jason the Argonauts is Ray Harryhausen's favorite movie.
Yeah,
What he's
well,
done.
you can tell. You can tell he was having a great time with it.
There's so many great monsters. The thing when it's guarding the fleas and he has to like hide from it. Oh,
yeah.
Now that was a great exercise in tension as well. And Peter Vakeman Fansite is here. Hey, Peter Vakeman Fansite.
It is theoretically possible that I had seen that or like one of the Sinbad movies before then, but 1977 is the first point I can remember. Yes, I definitely saw that, and I know it's a Ray Harryhausen technique.
Yes,
because I had Starlog, so I was getting Starlog at an early age.
I should also say that we should appreciate Ray Harryhausen for the ladies in the Sinbad movies.
Oh yes,
definitely caught my attention as a young man too. Even before I kind of had an actual interest in girls. That I was waiting for the stop motion to happen, but at the same time I was also watching. And they, I don't know, through the years there's been various versions, more or less censored or uncensored of those, but there's some risque scenes in some of those movies. Just like, hey, I'm
lost that in modern cinema. Like, no one will do anything to rock the boat for fear of pissing off an international audience.
Yeah, but
Peter Venkman Sandside arrived too. Welcome. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. Well, I did, but
oh no, I had to finish the sentence and just happened to line up with you.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's. What
they're just great at Ray Harryhausen had such a great sense of adventure too. I mean, it's just that was really what he wanted to do. Is he wanted to take you on an adventure, and he wanted to show you things that weren't just a guy in a suit. And he would go out of his way to design the creatures, whether it be a skeleton or something with I forget what you call it, but a different kind of knee joint, something that couldn't be a person in a suit, because he figured if I'm going to use stop motion animation, then I want to show you something that you could only get with stop motion. And that was the adventure, and the adventure was you were along with the hero, and he was going to save the beautiful woman who was wearing a very alluring outfit, and then you were going to fight some skeletons or a giant bronze statue. And he also was so good at bringing character to those creatures as well. It wasn't just here's the monster. They would be so expressive. It's like Jason and the Argonauts again. I love the scene where the demon bat creatures are coming down, and the way that they're not just interacting with the characters, the actors, they're interacting with themselves. You can see them kind of have a little bit of a rapport of a communication in the way that they would act. Or you would see the way that the characters, would react to things the actors were doing. Ray Harry would look at the footage of the actors, and there's something that I always call the kind of the Harryhausen wind up, where a creature would be stalking along and then it would see something and it would kind of like do this reaction with his shoulders and come back and then lunge forward again. Just these great character moments. And again, it's not just the magic of stop motion. It's how he created characters with stop motion that all of these other people are influenced by, all these directors that we love. So when you see Jurassic Park, or you see E.T., or, and again, with the not the opposable, I forget what that leg joint is called, but, Guillermo del Toro in Pan's Labyrinth, he wanted his fawn character to seem less human. So he used a different method. He used, got the suit performer Doug Jones to have like a green screen leotard, and they did a puppet leg. But, it's inspired everyone to think like that. It's hard to express, and it's hard to say who Ray Harryhausen was and his impact on us, directly as an artist, but just to see that ripple effect to this day. It's, I don't know, that's the impact of a powerful soul. That's the impact of somebody who is passionate about what it is they're creating and is unrelenting in their pursuit of improving it and making it more magical every go around. So by the time he got to Clash of the Titans, which I believe was his last movie, wasn't it?
That was the last movie he did effects on. He did consult for the remake of Mighty Joe Young. And he was in as an actor in a few movies. He was in Spies Like Us.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah.
John
a couple other
Landis
movies.
Like to use them a lot. One thing to consider also with the impact to his career. Think about it. You say Ray Harryhausen movie. That's what the creative force those movies are associated with. Not the actual quote unquote film director, not the actors.
Nope.
It's
now, Ray Harryhausen was very much in charge of those movies, and he had a lot of say in what went on, even over the directors.
You don't remember Harry Hamlin from Clash of the Titans. You remember the Kraken. You remember all the creatures.
Yeah. And even so much as, Harryhausen tried to come up with a term he could brand for his certain stop motion, which was dynamation.
Yeah.
And even, it's like, I know the term, and I use it every once in a while, but you don't say a dynamation movie. Even he couldn't have any control over how much his name transcended everything.
Yeah.
So, but this just, I have such strong feelings about this as a creator, to see someone who, when he first started, like I said, his parents were, his mom was sewing the clothes for the characters, and he was baking the foam latex in his own oven, so everything that they cooked when they cooked dinner, everything tasted like foam latex, and I think finally Ray Harryhausen's wife put her foot down and said, "No, you need another oven."
Hey, Keith
is here. But like he went from starting with what he knew, getting help, and just going and never relenting on his pursuit, and always trying to make it better, and always trying to be, to get it out to people. He was doing his own marketing. He was, doing his, pushing for it when he could have moved on to other things.
Well, and the thing about Ray Harryhausen, his movies are quality over quantity, because there's a lot of artists that have done a lot more movies than he did.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do that many main, full movies, comparatively.
Yeah, he was.
You know,
There was one movie that he was going to do, but they cheaped out on him, and so he left. And they ended up just putting like gluing stuff to lizards so they look like dinosaurs, and it looked like garbage, and it was probably, I would say, very harmful to the lizards. This is before standards and practices for humane treatment of animals in movies. But it looked like garbage, and the audiences responded to it in kind. And Harryhausen kind of, I think he had some words to say about it afterwards, and then he went and did something, much more marvelous. He did the first Cowboys and Dinosaurs movie, Valley of the
Guanji,
which again is, him pushing his art. But this is something that I want everybody who is striving to create something to keep in mind. This is, sticking to your values as an artist, having integrity about what you do rather than just trying to jump to the next thing that you think is going to help you make a name for yourself. It's this commitment, this looking at what you do and asking yourself, how can I raise the bar on myself, rather than comparing yourself to other people and seeing what they're doing and going, maybe I should be doing that. If you don't know what you should be doing, then probably you shouldn't be doing anything at all. Ray Harryhausen, and Ray Bradbury had a passion for Ray Harryhausen as well. He loved what he did, and Ray Bradbury saw that. He looked at it and went, this is amazing. Never stop doing this. And he was so happy to meet someone that loved dinosaurs like he did. But Ray Harryhausen, again, he was unrelenting in his love of stop motion. He believed in it, and he was always pushing it to its next zenith. And he bowed out when finally he saw that I wouldn't say he couldn't push it any more than it had gone. Maybe he could, but there were other things that he saw that were overtaking him in Hollywood. And, he thought, okay, it's time, I've had a good run. I'm going to step out of the way. He didn't want to, make it a competition and which he would ultimately, unfortunately, lose at. But he recognized his impact, and that's my message for all creatives. If you really love doing something, if you have a passion for it, and I think I do, I have my passion for miniatures and puppets, and I try and incorporate them in everything that I do. Believe in it, even if it feels like you're not getting any recognition or gratification for it at the time, because ultimately you will work in a vacuum for a long time, but then at the right moment, it may be the thing that suddenly everybody is looking for. And when there's no one around that is doing it except for you, because you dedicated your life and your integrity to it, and believed in it, you will be the guy. And that's what happened to Ray Harryhausen. He became the guy. And even to the time of his death, people were going to visit him during the production of Corpse Bride. Tim Burton wanted him to come to set, but I think it wasn't being made Ray Harryhausen lived in England, and this was being made in America. But Tim Burton, Johnny Depp, and Helena Bonham Carter went to Ray Bradbury's house in
you mean Harryhausen?
And to go visit him and thank him and tell them how much they loved his work, and they wanted him to be excited about their work. The same thing happened with Frank Frazetta. He didn't want to leave his house, so celebrities would come to him. Clint Eastwood would hey, Clint Eastwood's coming to my house, because he was the guy. And this is the reward to be reaped by staying true to your vision and always trying to up the bar on it. But
well, that was what happened with Forrest J. Ackerman. I mean, that's the same exact thing that happened with him.
Yeah.
That you would have all the people that he inspired would make pilgrimages to visit him at his home, which, again, his home became as much a part of his legend and legacy and a place for fans to want to visit and make the pilgrimage themselves to see and experience.
Didn't Forrest J. Ackerman have a lot of Harryhausen's miniatures?
He had Yeah, he had as many as he could get his hands on, but unfortunately a lot of that stuff disappeared later,
Yeah, a lot of it was found in the garage of Harryhausen. Like after he died, they just started unpacking boxes.
Oh yeah,
and a lot
he
of
had
it,
a lot.
It was decomposing because foam latex is organic, but a lot of it got restored, and I believe Kali is in the Smithsonian now. Which is
they had a retrospective of his work in England a couple months back, and they put out a massive book on everything that was in that retrospective, and I think it was a museum retrospective. And again, Harryhausen's one of those people that one of those names that just exactly you're going to get quality and have a lot of fun watching what he does.
Well, that quality is again, and John, you said this too. He wanted everything he did to be the best it could possibly be.
Yep.
And quality will always outlast, and this is, people searching for fame on social media, whether it be Twitter or even us on YouTube, or women on OnlyFans. It's like, here's the thing. I see so many beautiful women going, see my OnlyFans. I'm like, you are so beautiful. If you were to actually just maybe take a little less money and try a little harder to be in a movie or a show or something like that, instead of prostituting yourself, you could actually be remembered rather than just being another forgotten thought,
Yeah.
And I think that the reason that I engage social media is essentially to connect with people who love what we love, so that we can prop that up. It's not about us, wanting to be remembered for being on social media. We want the things that we care about to be remembered, and that's why it's great. I think John doing Ray Harryhausen was a fantastic idea. I do want to just comment on something that I think it was Peter Vakeman Fansite said. Said so many great Rays. I think it was Peter Vakeman Fansite that said that. And I want to say the thing that killed the Disney Star Wars franchise is they spelled Ray R-E-Y instead of R-A-Y. If they would have spelled it with an A, everything would have been fine.
Well, in another universe, probably. But
thought is a word that I didn't expect to come up today when talking about Ray Harryhausen. Not at all. But
well, it's like with social media, all this stuff. Listen, I'm just here for the pussy. Let me tell you something. I was heavily misinformed.
We will not start referring to the Sinbad ladies as Harryhausen thoughts.
No.
And they weren't, though, because that's the word thought literally translates to that hoe over there. This is, again, it's the idea of girls who are just prostituting themselves for some quick gratification. And really, honestly, this is the problem with a lot of and again, I'll discuss this a little bit when we talk on Tuesday about Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosity. I think that the quality of our art is going down because we are a culture that is seeking instant gratification over being patient and sometimes enduring the, as an artist, I can tell you, I do sometimes feel a deprivation of gratification. It does, sometimes you're like, why can't people just love my work, Yeah. But when you finally come out with something, when you create something, and I did experience this with the Quantum Terror, I worked on for 6 years without a lot of people doubting that it would ever come out. I had people, I had it falling out with a friend because they wanted to chastise me on this movie's never going to be anything. It's never going to come out. You're wasting your time. You should be doing this or that sort of thing. And I just shined them on, make a long story short. But then the movie came out, and that gratification is so much more than anything that I would have gotten by just, getting dopamine hits from Twitter posts or whatever. and it's gonna last.
Yeah.
I see this movie, not becoming a huge hit or anything like that, but it'll still be there. It's like my grandkids will be able to watch it and go, wow, that's someone in our family made that movie. It'll still mean something.
Yeah.
Where all this stuff on the internet, these dopamine hits, they don't matter, and of course, let's see. I mean, if I could pull $700,000 a month from Simps, I probably would too. But I would still be thinking about how I could actually make some legacy for myself, but I'm not a gorgeous woman with big boobies.
But here's the thing, that has become the way that you have to work nowadays in Hollywood. This is what I keep referring to as something that has been figured out by people like Tom Cruise, and what Tom Cruise tried to get Will Smith and Jamie Foxx to understand. This is what Idris Elba understood, and is to the real reason why he's not playing James Bond. Things have progressed to a point that individual performers now have to think about ways for themselves to actually truly benefit from what they create. And after a while, as you begin to age, you have to look at basically how much you are getting versus the amount of effort that you're actually putting into said projects. And
if that's the case, then Tom Cruise isn't getting paid enough.
Well, I mean, yeah, but compared to everyone else, he's making way more than everybody else.
Well,
I mean,
he's also a freaking, no matter what you think of his, some of his past escapades and weirdness, especially with the Scientology stuff, but the guy is gonna go down as a legend.
Because of that. Yeah, because of that.
You don't get paid what you deserve. You get paid what you negotiate. So.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. It's called it's not called show friends. It's called show business.
Actually, we need to say that again though. You don't get paid. Say that again. You don't.
You don't get paid what you're worth. You get paid what you negotiate.
I am going to write that on.
That's a version of what R&B says. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
That is brilliant. I love that.
It is that is the easiest. I mean, that's the easiest way to understand it. And when you, as a performer, understand that, then you can understand exactly what projects are actually worth your mental and physical time. No one that becomes James Bond will ever creatively, truly be given any substantial piece of that character, because that family is going to keep it. So if you're
and they built it too. That family
that's right.
Built it, so.
That's right. And so the Broccoli family will never ever part with that, which means that no matter who you are, especially if you're being James Bond, you're only there temporarily. So then why should you, after a certain age, why should you really pour yourself into any of that stuff? You could find better uses for your time creating something brand new and pouring all your time, effort, and energy into that and building it up so that you can create and keep a majority of what you make. Again, Tom Cruise did not create Mission Impossible, but he and his agent were able to get the rights to said property way, way, way back when. You got to remember, this is one of the few properties that is still coming up with new episodes that started in the 90s. The 90s, kids. And he's kept this going.
And you know what, too? Tom Cruise has transcended it, because Mission Impossible, the movies now, are nothing like Mission Impossible, the original television show.
Yes.
But it's and with James Bond as well, I will say one person has more of a claim on James Bond than anybody else these days. It's not a property rights or money claim, but it's Sean Connery.
Yes.
No matter who you love as James Bond, Sean Connery really if you say James Bond, the majority of people that Sean Connery is who's going to pop in their mind, at least in our age
or
range.
Daniel Craig or whoever the current actor is.
And for a lot of younger people, those under 30, it's definitely Daniel Craig. But the thing that I think will be easier for them to understand over time as they get older and they look back at all of this stuff, I think it's the thing that Daniel Craig realized, which is no matter how much money he makes, and he made a lot of money out of everyone that has ever played that part, he has collectively made more money box office wise playing that part than any other person who has ever played that part. But even he realized that no matter how much money his films make, he's never really going to get to the good stuff as far as the, being in with the Broccoli family as to what they're pulling down. So then why should you continue to stay with that?
Yeah. I do want to also add too, that even though young people will think of Daniel Craig because they're younger and that's just who they see, the impact of Daniel Craig in their psyche and the zeitgeist of the culture they live in is nothing compared to the impact of Sean Connery in the zeitgeist when he was James Bond. I just bring it back to Ray Harryhausen, and I got to go in a few minutes, so I hate to interrupt, but Jeebus mentioned, kind of took a dig at Tom Cruise and The Mummy, and I wanted to speak two things to that. One is, unless he makes another turd like The Mummy, everybody's going to make a turd. It's everybody has their bad moments. It's impossible not to happen. So I think that
excuse me.
But mentioning The Mummy, God, the original Brendan Fraser Mummy, talk about a movie that was inspired by Ray Harryhausen. And that was kind of when CGI was really starting to do things beyond, what Jurassic Park had done, when they really starting to kind of push that envelope. And there was some dodgy things about it. And of course, Mummy Returns, there's that really dodgy rock lobster.
Well, one of the things to consider with that, like Jurassic Park, like the late 90s to early 2000s, they were developing these things, so they would actually take their time for some of these special effects. Like I think it was over 1.5 years for The Mummy. The problem we have now is that they're literally cranking these special effects to the last minute. So our actual VFX fidelity for CGI has actually gone down.
Well, it's scrapbooking
too.
It's scrapbooking.
Wakanda forever.
I mean, with the VFX, you're absolutely right, because it's not fidelity in quality or in the technology; it's fidelity in the artistry. One of the things that I wanted to say though about the original Mummy was, like I said, they were using Ray Harryhausen as their template for how these characters would behave.
You mean the more recent
Brendan
Mummy?
Fraser, the perfect actor that could pantomime action to interact with them. The scene where he rescues Evie or Evelyn, where she's like, again, chained to the table, just like in a, you'd see in a Ray Harryhausen movie. And he's fighting the different mummies that are coming after him. And some of his stuff is improv, but, really.
That's not just Ray Harryhausen, though. That's pulp, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Influenced him.
But Ray Harryhausen's the way that the scene was set up and acted out and that sort of thing was, so inspired by him. And when you listen to the commentary, because I have that DVD, and I have that DVD from when it came out, they talk about it. So I mean, that's, again, say what you want about that movie. It is a very pulpy movie, and I remember at the time a lot of people going, "Oh, it's kind of a crappy story." I enjoyed the hell out of it.
It was fun.
It's a great thing. Pulp is amazing. If anything, we need to bring pulp back, because pulp handles your creatures seriously. Pulp while still making it fun. It's not like the characters are quipping about whatever situation's going on, which thanks Joss Whedon for ruining a generation of storytellers.
Well, and here's the other thing, though, to talk about the power, though, of being quote unquote more recent. You do realize that's kind of a quasi reboot, right? I mean, you do realize that what you're calling the original Mummy is kind of a quasi remake reboot in and of itself, because it uses several of the names and certain set pieces that were in the original Mummy film of 1932.
Yeah, and
So-
I actually, that's a good for you for calling me out on that. That was kind of a slip in just trying to not equate it with the Tom Cruise Mummy, but of course we have generations of Universal and Hammer Mummy movies that all also
can't forget the Hammer films.
Well, for my money, I know these films really as the Stephen Sommers Mummy films, because Stephen Sommers was the guy that actually had the idea to do all of this and to put in things. He didn't have to, but this was baked into the movie to be kind of referential and reverential to the previous version of the Mummy, as well as trying to find a way of making it very pulpy, unlike the original 1932 film, which was just made to scare.
Yeah.
And so adding in this kind of Indiana Jones quality to it and combining the two was really what made that film stand out. And having an incredible cast. I mean, for me, the cast that really makes this film. I mean, it's not just Brendan Fraser. It's Rachel Weisz. It's John. John Hannah was one of my favorite characters in these films, playing Jonathan. And Arnold Vosloo and Kevin J. O'Connor and Jonathan Hyde. And you know what? The only character that was my favorite character in all the films was the one played by Oded Fehr, who played Ardith Bey. He was my favorite character in all the Mummy films. I thought he was the coolest character. And again, everybody had their favorite characters. Everybody had their favorite moments. And of course, Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz had excellent chemistry that unfortunately could not be replicated for the third film because Rachel wasn't in it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a shame. And I'm with Jeebus too about the digital removal of certain qualities. I know it's supposed to be a family film, but release the nipple cut.
Here's the thing about it, though. One untapped area for cinema is because the actual pulp, like literature, as it was like ultra violent, ultra sexual. Like one title alone gives you the idea of how crazy this stuff went. Satan Was a Lesbian. Real book. You can look it up. It's a fucking amazing title, has an amazing cover. Like there were all these ridiculous, hyper violent, hyper sexual stuff, which they couldn't do back then because of a lot of the standards practices. But with HBO level now, we could actually do that type of pulp in live action. But we're too afraid of offending people now.
That's what I want to do with my movies, though. I'm with you on that. We should do a just a pulp artwork episode where we just go through different pulp covers and talk about them, make up our own stories to them, whatever, But I'm definitely with you on that. I am sorry, fellas, I have to get going because I've got grown up stuff to do. But I really enjoyed this, and I hope you guys keep talking about Ray Harryhausen and all the wonderful stuff. I'm going to go revisit The Mummy, too, because I'm remembering how much fun I've had with that movie. And
I think a lot of people forget how much Stephen Sommers packed into both of those films.
He did a great movie right before he did The Mummy. He did a great sea monster movie called Deep Impact. Which is, and you mentioned, Joss Whedon ruining a generation of writers. I have serious issues with Joss Whedon myself. He wrote Alien Resurrection, which is a pile of garbage, and Deep Impact is almost the same movie as Alien Resurrection, but just shows how you can do it so it's actually fun.
Well, I mean, even a bad movie like Van Helsing was fun because of how Stephen.
I love Van Helsing.
Together.
Yeah.
I don't have. I wasn't the biggest fan. I don't hate the film, but I was not that big of a fan of it. I understood what he was going for, and to me, it's within the same vein, same universe as his Mummy films. But
I think the most fun about Van Helsing, and I truly got to go. Sorry, guys, but I'll just leave you with this. The most fun about Van Helsing is the overacting. That movie would not be as fun if they didn't have such over-the-top acting. Those, especially the Dracula when he's with the brides.
It seems that I have a different concept of fun.
Well, my only thing with that film,
have fun adulting.
My only thing with Van Helsing is that the film was fun, but it's also a good example of how miscasting a movie can affect a film. And what I mean is that the film had almost everything you would need, except the one thing that I think it truly needed to make it all work and come together, which is a believable villain. In this case, Richard Roxburgh, who also played the main villain in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Look, Mr. Roxburgh is a great actor. He's done a lot more than I'll ever see in my lifetime. But I thought in both films, Van Helsing and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he was completely and utterly miscast. You needed to have someone who was truly, truly menacing as the Count in Van Helsing. Because it's played for too many laughs. I mean, the thing is that Arnold Vosloo did exactly what you needed to have done to play the Mummy. And that's, I'm not saying you had to repeat that kind of performance, but you needed someone, since they were going to have a lot more lines than even Arnold Vosloo was able to speak in the Mummy films. You needed to have someone who was truly terrifying, someone who could chill you to the bone with saying just even a few words. And you didn't get that with Richard Roxburgh. And it was the same thing with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
So you're saying, Keith, we should have had Harvey Weinstein as Dracula?
I'm saying you should have had Harvey, and you should have had his best friend who was running CBS, and that's all I'll say. Because
Anyway.
everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows about it. Had it not been for that, that person would have been busted too. In fact, from what I've heard, he had just as many things going on, and that's as far as I'll go with that story. So
now would be the time for that graphic, for that video.
I'm not gonna say anything else. That's all there's a lot of stupid guys. Anyway,
Anyway, to get back to Ray Harryhausen.
Yes.
I wanted to spend a few minutes and go through the movies that he did. So if Martin will bring up my shared screen.
Yes.
Now, he just worked on Mighty Joe Young. This wasn't one he was in charge of the special effects of.
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
This is where he got his break in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Was working on this film. And one thing I'd forgotten, that this is a John Ford film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd forgotten that this was John Ford. And yeah.
Again,
but
everybody starts someplace.
Yep. But and here's an image of him working on Mighty Joe Young. That's, and just the detail in that miniature is, yeah, it's just amazing as far as I'm concerned for that age, for that time period. But the next movie he worked on was Beasts from 20,000 Fathoms. I don't know why do I keep calling it Phantoms. I don't know. But yeah, this was 53?
Mm-hmm. This is part of those films that helped to create the basis of what the 1950s became. You know, lots and lots of. This is one of those films that became a part of what they called creature features.
Yep.
1950s. So you either had ray guns, rocket ships, and babes, or you had creatures of all kinds. So
all sizes too.
And this is one of the films that I think, just in my opinion, you need to have kind of an understanding and an appreciation for in order to properly not only write but even direct a Fantastic Four film, because the Fantastic Four was born out of this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
this is exactly what you're dealing with.
The next movie in his catalog is It Came From Beneath the Sea. Yeah, it's the big giant tentacle movie.
Well, not that kind of tentacle movie.
No, not that. No, not that. No.
It was really popular in Japan for some reason.
But again, those tentacles are they really seem alive when you see them. It's not, it's not as hokey as you might think when you watch it. It's like, wow, that's, the special effects are. He had an amazing touch with stop motion.
Well, he and that team, it isn't just one person. I mean, the thing that you got to understand is you do need a really good team.
Yes.
But the thing about Ray Harryhausen is that he was so good, just so good. Wow.
And the detail on his miniatures.
Oh yeah.
So, but the next one was Flying Saucers Attack, or Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Flying Saucers Attack. That's what I get for reading. And he didn't actually do miniatures for this. The spaceships in the sky were animated by him.
Wow.
So it wasn't. This is where he kind of stepped out from stop motion, and he did the animated spaceships, the ones flying over the cities and stuff. That was all him.
I would not be surprised if the people behind Independence Day took a few cues from this movie.
That wouldn't surprise me a bit. There's but in all these movies, if you haven't seen these movies, you really should go watch them, because each one of these is a classic. There isn't any in his catalog that are dogs.
This is the reason why I think you should be really excited if they decide to go down that road at Warner Brothers and do a particular property that I keep mentioning. So
yeah.
This is all part of the same thing. This is all, I mean, although I've been recently convinced that maybe instead of a movie, they should just turn it into a television series. So,
yeah,
television series where you do one whole season, which is nothing more than the plot of one of these types of films.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. That would just be excellent.
The next one was 20 Million Miles to Earth.
Wow.
Yeah. Riptoid aliens come to destroy the world.
Reptiles got a lot of work for the 1950s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You think David Eichel's just been cribbing Ray Harryhausen this whole time then?
I think JJ's been cribbing Ray Harryhausen for a long time.
Yep.
Well, if so, he really sucks at it.
And now we get into
the fantasy,
the sword and sandals
era.
Yeah. This is where things started getting refined. It's where he started. He calls it the dynamation, even though everybody just calls it Ray Harryhausen. Yeah. But and Chris was talking about how the way he would composite so that the skeletons and other creatures would cross in front of the actors. The actors would appear to interact with the miniatures. And that's where, when he developed these, now that composting stuff was, as Chris said, was existing, but he really refined it.
Yeah.
So, and next, this is probably his weakest movie coming up next. and that's the Three Worlds of Gulliver.
Well,
I haven't heard of that one.
you know what? That was one of my favorites when I
seen it.
was little.
I like
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, where I spent my childhood, I got a chance to watch a lot of old movies, and this was one of those films that I had a lot of fun with. I mean, I could see that, but I mean, I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying and that's what I said. He doesn't have any bad movies. I
Yeah.
just said this is his weakest one, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
And
His
maybe
weakest
that's
one-
because it isn't really monsters that he's dealing with, and it's it's just like the giant crocodile is not really a giant. It's normal size because Gulliver is tiny.
Yeah, you know what? The thing about Harryhausen, and this says a lot. If you're someone who is able to break through and allow filmmakers to utilize more of their imagination, you become someone that is in demand.
Yes,
You know, when you look at something like, say, 2001, which was a seminal work and helped to really push forward the art of visual effects. By the time you get to something like, say, Star Wars, because of ILM, and even something like Terminator 2, really, The Abyss, and other things that would eventually come along as we eventually make our way to The Matrix, which was the other seminal film that really turned everything, including Hollywood, on its head. This is really about individuals and the teams that they have that are able to just get out there and just do such cutting edge work that it changes not only how the audience see everything, but how Hollywood works. So,
yeah, definitely.
The real shame about all this, it seems that these people didn't necessarily have the tech we have, but they had way better imaginations than what I see the current crop of people.
well, I mean, everybody's got great imaginations. I mean, when you look at a lot of the people that have come out of the Dave School, which, again, you can look this up. It's called the Dave School.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of graduates out of that program that have gone on to either be nominated for Academy Awards or Emmys because of the work that they do at the Dave School.
Yeah.
That is one of the places that helps to supply many of the people that work within the industry. I believe everybody's got a great imagination. The thing that has changed over time is who has more authority over basically how that stuff is utilized and what stuff is placed ultimately within the film and what's kept.
Yep.
And there is more and more leaning in towards the fact that executives at studios are having more and more of a say as far as the creative direction many films go. And that, that is having an effect.
I've talked to Script Doctor about this, and what he says with it is that basically there's executives that are basically directing by proxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so they'll get the writer and they'll tell the writer exactly what needs to be in the movie and at what points. They'll get the director and tell them what needs in the movie is at these particular points. And so they can still get to be an executive, but they also can have like the fantasy thinking that they made something.
And that's
Kathleen Kennedy.
It's not just Kathleen Kennedy. It's the guy that told Kevin Smith what to do at Netflix as far as his He-Man project. It's really what Kevin Feige technically does. He just, quote unquote, takes out a few steps.
Yeah.
So.
I was hoping we could get away with not mentioning Kathleen Kennedy this show, but apparently not. Anyway, so the next movie is Mysterious Island.
Oh, yeah. Love this one. And this one, to me, oh wow, this is one of the reasons why you need to have someone who really understands where this particular story fits and how you could have there is a mystery to this particular story. And I know it's an old film and I can go ahead and say what it is, but some of y'all might not want to watch the movie. It's a good film, and it's actually a sequel to a very famous story. But if you want to know what it is, you got to watch the movie.
I'll just say that it's based on a story by Jules Verne. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Just leave it at that. And next, this is Ray Harryhausen's favorite movie. This is the one that he feels that, you know, that if you ask him what his favorite movie is, he would have said this one.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, this is probably, I'd say I would not be remiss in saying this is probably the pinnacle of his work. It's definitely his you know, definitely his Casablanca or whatever as far as special effects are concerned.
Magnum opus is the term they usually like to put for it.
Yeah, magnum opus. That's And this was just, if you have not seen this one, you are doing yourself a disservice.
First time I saw this, I think I was 6 years old. Totally took my breath away. This is one of those films that, again, I'm not talking anything about having a remake, because the story that this is based on is something that anybody could actually probably go out and use. But I think if you really, really wanted to, you could turn this into an epic Academy Award winning film, depending on what angle you want to go with it. So,
the story is several thousand years old. So, you know,
there is that. Jason the Argonauts is the mythological Avengers. It's basically all the heroes from mythology team up to do a major event. They gotta get the Golden Fleece as a definitively set goal. And they have a ton of things that get in their way on there. They lose companions. People lose hope, give up. Even Hercules is defeated like halfway through because his friend dies.
Yeah,
he just can't take it anymore.
There you go.
This is just, and you know, just the, and you know, we'll just throw this up there.
Yes.
Some of the miniatures from that movie. You know, we got the Cyclops, and would you really call it a dragon?
Yeah.
I'd let it Gorgon or something like that. I forget the mythological version of the lizard.
But again, look at the detail in those figures.
You know, Ray Harryhausen kind of reminds me of, you know, you got to also understand during this time period, you had people like Dick Smith. They're out there getting it done with makeup.
Yep.
And Harrison Ellenshaw, he and his family that were responsible for a lot of the matte painting works of a lot of major movies. And trust me, Google Harrison Ellenshaw. His work, you have seen it, you just didn't know you were seeing it.
Yep.
And that's how good his work was. I'm telling you, a lot of you smaller filmmakers, you can make whatever you want to make. You're only limited by your imagination, truly. You could use many of the different techniques that a lot of these older filmmakers used and bring down the cost of whatever you're making severely. Not everything has to involve complicated visual effects or CGI or hiring massive numbers of performers or stunt people or all that. Sometimes you just need to, you know, be clever.
Yeah.
Well, Keith, the tragedy that happened with it was actually it was Photoshop, because then if there was a mistake in it, that people got their idea that instead of fixing the shot when we can. Oh, we'll just edit this thing out. It's like,
We'll fix
there's
it in
a
post.
microphone in there. Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
And that mentality killed creativity because people were just like, it's good enough. We'll fix it later.
Yeah. So the next one that he worked on, First Men in the Moon.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Jeez. That's so cool. There's not one thing on this list that could not be made now.
No.
And if you were clever enough, you could do it for a lot less money than what any normal person would assume you could make it for. I mean, you could easily spend $200 million making this.
Oh, yeah.
But why would you need to? If you were clever about it, you could make it for a heck of a lot less.
50, 60 million.
Well, that's the shame of modern filmmaking. Like, why is Wakanda Forever look as terrible as it does, but cost $250 million?
Yeah. I mean, you should still have sets, and a majority of your sets were all digital anyway. I mean, okay, that's going to take me down a road I really don't want to go.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, now, the next movie is, because he worked with Hammer Films once.
Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah.
And this is my favorite Hammer film, without a doubt.
Yes! Yes! Look, I got to say, oh, man, sometimes you got that one film where even as a young boy, she's kind of different.
Yeah.
Why do I have these funny feelings down below?
She's kind of different.
Even though the dinosaurs were cool as hell.
Yeah, but she's really kind of different.
Yeah, she was.
Raquel Welch, man. Woo, jeez. Put the Steve in the man shorts. Come on.
Yep. There he is working with one of the dinosaurs from the movie.
Wow.
Next up is an extremely fun one. Valley of the Gwangi. Yeah, I kept finding like the Italian poster for this.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for me to find an American one. So I got the big, was it the one sheet? No, the one sheet's I forgot I don't remember what they call the big wide one, poster. But
welcome. How's this for this? Wajid Leaky.
Oh, Wajid Leaky's here. Hey, Wajid. Welcome.
Here's the other thing about a lot of these films that Harryhausen made. There's not one of these movies that any little boy could have gone, after seeing this film, could have gone into their backyard and not tried to replicate the toys they already had.
Yep.
I mean, every boy I knew either had, they had Green Army men, they had dinosaurs, you had your trucks, you had everything, dirt, sand, whatever you needed. And you could go out back and just do that. And if
this one used cowboys.
Oh, geez. I mean, this literally looks like something that any average 7-year-old could go, yeah, this is my idea of what the coolest movie ever would have in it.
Yep. It's definitely a classic. And it's one that I encourage all of these I encourage people to watch. But this is probably in the top, easily the top 8 of the Harryhausen movies.
Wow. Memories. Just bringing back so many memories.
Next,
yes.
Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Back to the sword and sandals. But yet another installment of the Sinbad series.
Patrick Wayne, I think, right? I think this is...
John Philip Law.
Oh, John Philip Law. Okay.
Yeah, that's
John Philip Law.
Right?
John Philip Law, I think he's also in, wasn't he in Barbarella? I think he was.
I'm not 100% sure.
Because they're supposed to be doing a new version of that one, too.
Yeah, I'm not too enthused.
Hey, no,
this is my enthusiasm face.
It's based on a comic book. You can do it, but my thing is, given the way the entertainment industry is right now, if you're going to do this, you need to fully commit to it. You can't just only do part of it. You if you're going to make it based on that material, you need to commit to the story fully. That's Definitely. All I got to say.
Hey, Colonizer Jesus, thanks for being a member for 5 months. That's awesome. But yeah, these Sinbad movies were classics.
Yeah, real Sinbad movies, not cop-out type stuff that you make for little no money trying to get away with just doing next to nothing. So
yeah. And Sinbad's really a hero that's kind of underrated.
Extremely.
Yeah, it's, as far as, the classic, I don't want to call them, mythological heroes.
It didn't help that last DreamWorks movie bombed with him. Like the animated one.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason. We're trying to skimp out here by going, we'll just make the whole thing animated. It's like, well, that kind of misses the point, kids.
Yes. And next is the first Ray Harryhausen movie I got to see. Sinbad in the Eye of the Tiger.
Now, that one is Patrick Wayne.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, let's see. The bad guy was played by Tom Baker.
The remember guy, or
it's either that one or the one before that one.
Yeah,
it's one of the two. I know that you had two Sinbad movies, and either this one.
Well, Golden Voyage came out in 1973. This one came out in 1977, the same year as Star Wars.
Okay, so I'm thinking this is the one. I think the last one was the one with John Philip Law. That's the one with Tom Baker in it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
This one had, what's his name? The third Doctor, Patrick Troughton. Doctor number 2, Patrick Troughton.
Yes.
So, yeah, you had two Sinbad films, and the villains in both of them were played by former doctors.
Yep.
Little bit of trivia there.
Yeah, now, at the time, I didn't know who he was. He was just the bad guy, But, yeah, this was... Like I said, I was into all that stuff as a kid, so my parents took me to see this one. I was so happy. I loved this movie as a kid. I still do, but
if you want your kids to truly appreciate a film like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you need to be showing them these movies. Adventure films are where it's at, man. You can't go wrong. It's pretty simple. Good guys, bad guys. There's a stated goal, a journey. It's all in there, man, and seeing these movies really then helps you to appreciate what Lucas and Spielberg were able to do in creating Raiders of the Lost Ark. So
yes, definitely. And that brings us to the last movie that Ray Harryhausen worked on. Obviously long before he died. But this was the last one he did as dealing with special effects. He was a consultant on the remake of Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah.
And he's been in a few movies like Spies Like Us. But this was the last movie he did anything for, and it's the one most people usually remember. And that's the original Clash of the Titans.
Well, you could easily call this Ray Harryhausen's Clash of the Titans. That cast is just an amazing cast. Period. I mean, you go
Burgess Meredith, Ursula Andress,
Maggie Smith,
Laurence Olivier.
Oh, geez, Sir Laurence Olivier.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
if you're gonna retire, you go out on top, and
he went out on top.
There you go. That's what she said. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And there's some of the figures.
What a career. What a career.
Yep.
Like a boss. He went out like a boss.
Now, the year he died, Den of Geek did a retrospective that I'm not going to read, but I would like to, because they put this out right before he died, but I want to show some of the pictures from it.
I mean, it's pretty nice, actually. He had like 3 years of retirement to enjoy. So,
he had more than that. He died in 2013.
3 decades. Excuse me, 3 decades.
Yeah. But yeah, there he is. He's, this is shortly before he died. In front of,
Clash of the Titans. That would have been 81 or 82.
81.
So I was just starting high school.
I was 11.
No. I was still in junior high. So yeah. Jeez.
I saw that when it came out too. So yeah, there's a shot from Mighty Joe Young.
Wow.
There's the poster, which we've seen already. More Mighty Joe Young. There's another Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I keep calling them Phantoms. I don't know why. Makes me feel like an idiot.
You're not an idiot, dude.
But yeah, that's look at that miniature work.
That's a famous scene right there.
Came from beneath the sea.
Yeah, it did.
I forgot about the animal world. There's the Arthur's Flying Saucers. 20 million miles to Earth. And there's one of the creatures from it.
It's safe to say that these films helped to influence a lot of people in the business. And seriously, I think it did a lot to inspire a lot of the writers and creative people in DC Comics in the 1950s, and then inspired a lot of Marvel Comics going into the 1960s.
Yep, definitely. And there he is with the Medusa head.
That pretty much makes him a seminal, pivotal figure within pop culture history.
Yes.
Without him, a lot of what we've enjoyed from a lot of very creative people never would have happened. I mean, you're not just talking about 1 or 2 major films. I think the creative direction of how everything would go would be completely different.
Del Toro's entire career existing is probably due to Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah.
Because I could not see him being the type of director he is without Harryhausen's influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's the Cyclops from Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
Yeah.
And there's the dragon. There's the
Voyage of Sinbad.
Yep. The
two-headed
vulture. Yeah.
Yeah. That gave me nightmares when I was
the two-headed vulture.
Yeah.
There's, of course, his
Gulliver. Wow.
And the skeletons.
See, that to me, I've seen his stuff, but the skeletons with the shields, to me, are his most famous creation visually.
Yes.
I mean, they just are.
And when I was playing Warhammer, I painted my shields to look like Ray Harryhausen's shields for my undead army. There's the Colossus of Rhodes.
Rhodes, yeah. I like also the addition of how they did the sound effects.
Yes. So
Yeah,
there's-
first in the moon, was it the stuff with the mirror? Like there was one where they actually do like X-rays and you see the skeleton in them, if I remember right. I haven't seen it in like 20 years. So.
Yeah. And there's the first men in the moon.
Yeah.
That's look inside the capsule. And that's 1 million years BC. I should have used this poster. It looks better. Valley of the Guanji.
Still, I stand by what I said before. There is not one thing he came
Look at
up
that.
with.
You could replicate that as a kid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's not one thing he came up with that you could not, after watching one of these movies, go into your backyard at 5, 6, 7 years old and not replicate.
Yeah, just put toothpicks in your old cowboy figures' hands.
Yep. I'm telling you, if you're gonna do Challengers of the Unknown, you should just make it a television series and just take one of these Harryhausen films and make it the point of what you do over the course of a season.
Real quick for Culinary for Jesus, one of the things you should look up with Indiana Jones, there's what they were saying, because it was being recorded at the time, like when they were telling the screenwriter their concept for Indiana Jones, when they were brainstorming, that text actually exists and you can actually read it. Like they bring up Man with No Name, Toshiro Mifune. There's all sorts of things that they brought up when they were, doing we want to make an adventure serial type character. I think Alan Quartermain was in there. I got to look it back up.
Yeah. Hey, Zacharlot 315, welcome. Yep. There's the Kali statue from Sinbad.
Yeah.
And apparently that's in the Smithsonian.
Oh, jeez.
There's the Griffin fight.
Yep.
The
Golden Voyage.
Centaur. Yep. Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
See, I only need to see pictures with some of this stuff.
There he is with his creations.
Yep.
And that's Clash of the Titans.
Yep. Well, that last picture was all the creatures from Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's Caliban. Yep. And that's it. That's all the stuff I have to share.
Cool.
So yeah, and it's hey, it's a good time. It's almost been 2 hours. Wow, today has really flown by.
Yeah, good news and bad.
So yeah, well, I guess I would like, since we're going to wrap up, do you have anything additional to add?
You know what? It is a sad way to begin the weekend. Saying goodbye to
Kevin Conroy.
Yeah. This is definitely a weekend to go back and check out all of the things that you really enjoyed from him. All those great episodes of Batman the Animated Series and really everything that he's ever done.
At least watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
He is.
Yeah.
He's what I think of when I think of Batman. His version of Batman is the one I think of.
Yeah, it's the one I hear in my head. When I think of Batman talking, he sounds like that.
When I read Batman, it's Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. And he's the only actor that ever got both Bruce Wayne and Batman correct. Nobody else has gotten both correct at the same time. In my opinion.
I think in many ways, Ben Affleck has taken certain cues from the Batman the Animated Series version of Bruce Wayne and for his Bruce Wayne. Which again, that's nothing but good stuff. If you're gonna, steal a few things, steal from the best.
Exactly.
And as far as I'm concerned, Adam West gave his seal of approval to Kevin Conroy while they were working together. So that's the reason why I don't see any problem in saying that Kevin was Batman.
And I'm glad even though it was CW, I'm glad he got to play a version of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, me too. I gotta say, cancer is a real bitch.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
After the announcement at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's
yeah.
This is just
even though I haven't said it the whole day, but fuck cancer.
Yeah,
fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer.
With a spiked dildo right up its ass.
Okay, that may be a little more extreme than I was going to go, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Cancer, okay, it's fucking cancer.
I appreciate the sentiment.
So that's it, really. Just have fun, stay geeky, watch his mini Kevin Conroy, and even some Harryhausen stuff.
Yeah.
And it's important to actually watch a lot of this stuff if you really want to know what a lot of people were thinking or what they were inspired by. You can't go wrong with Harryhausen. I mean, you just can't. And it's one of the coolest things that you can actually watch with younger kids.
Yes. His work was definitely all ages, except for 1 million BC. That might have been.
Yeah.
Let's leave those to the slightly older kids. But
let's leave that for when they're teenagers.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But if you've got younger kids, if you've got kids who you could, it's a good family night. Get the family together, watch 3 or 4 Harryhausen films, preferably all of his Sinbad stuff, and have fun with it. So
yeah. Shinotsky posted something. Do you have anything to add, Shinotsky?
Just support Gary, support the channel, and we already covered fuck cancer, but I'll say and fuck cancer.
Yeah, now you posted this. Did you want me to play this?
I think given what happened, this would be a good way to end the show.
Okay, well, let me thank everybody who was here before we do this.
Yep.
First of all, I'd like to thank Colin Argibus, who was first. Anma Confusa, Penny, Dragon Ruse, AF Watcher 88, who broke the news for us about Kevin Conroy, Darius Munchausen, D. Bud Martin, Quantum Cat 76, Railway Nation, Zax, Scribelight, Magitech Mags, the Peter Vinkman fan site, Wajid Leakey, and Zachrat 315. Thank you very much for being here. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. So on that note, we're going to leave with this. Just a little short 2-minute clip. And it's Mark Hamill as the Joker eulogizing Batman from Batman the Animated Series. Well, it's not from the series. They're at a convention. But let me present. If you want to go ahead and put it up, Martin. Can you hear that?
Nope.
Okay, hang on. I think I have it muted. Yes, I do. You hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dear friends, today is the day the clown cried. But he cried not for the passing of one man, but for the death of a dream. The dream decree that one day he would taste victory over his hated enemy, because it was the Batman that made me happy. So I am today. How I agonize over how to thank him for that. Perhaps with a cyanide hypnotherapy. Or perhaps by exploding whoopee cushion, playfully placed in the Batmobile. But those dreams will be dashed by the Weasley Gunsel standing there in our midst. This cowardly, insignificant Garnet, who probably got lucky when Batman slipped in the slime trail this loser left behind. This disgusting mind of Aida Phil, who's not fit to lick the dirt of my back. But I digress. It's time to look to a future filled with smiles. And I'll be smiling again when we take that man there and stick him in that box there and flip him in the black bottom outfit there.
Wow. Mark Hamill, man.
Yep, man, and he is Joker.
He is Joker.
I mean, Jack, don't get me wrong, Jack was wonderful, but nobody has that voice like Mark Hamill does.
I'm hoping. I am hoping now that everything seems to be on the right track, that they can at least find something to do with Mark Hamill that is really kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
all right. Well, and with that note, we will say goodbye. And thank you very much for being here.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon for updates on our shows and channel. Also, please leave a comment, and we'd like to know what you thought of the episode, as well as letting us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page and merch store at popcultureminefield.com. You can always find Pop Culture Minefield on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.